I got cut off on my last video, so we were just talking about the different labels of this chart. So we want to change this around. We renamed the chart title, but now we want to look at the labels for our different axes. Here it's already filled in the labels for our categories, which is great, but then we need to tell it what the y-axis is. So we're going to select the chart, and we're going to go over here to the plus sign. And so here you can see right now there's only selected axes, chart title, and grid lines. We can include axis titles, and now you can see it previews before you actually select it. So you can see there's lots of different options. You can include a label on the data, which puts the total frequency right above the bar. Lots of different options. So the only one we need is axis titles. So we're just going to click that. And now we have these two fields. We just need to select them, select all the text there, and tell it what is the label of this axis. So this is main substance abused. Click out of it. And then here we want to say frequency. There. So now we have a proper bar chart of this variable. Next we want to create a pie chart. So we're going to do a very similar method as what we just did. Select your first column, which is the type, and then select the second column, which is the frequency, and then with only those selected, go up to your Insert tab, then go to the Charts section, and this time we're going to do the pie chart. So you can click on that, and once again it previews, got lots of options. We might explore some of those later, but I'm just going to make a 2D pie chart. So once again it puts it over our data, so I'm going to move this down. There, okay, I've dragged it down, and so now here we go. So again, we just want to give some more labels to this so that the viewer, if we had someone else looking at this, they could understand what it is they're looking at. So we want to title this frequency distribution of main substance abused. And actually, well, to be most descriptive, you could say this is a pie chart of the frequency distribution of the main substance abused. But I think that gets a little too wordy, so I'm just going to keep it. You can obviously see that it's a pie chart because it's a pie chart. So once again, it has moved my title into 2 lines, and I don't like that, so I'm going to just readjust the table ever so slightly so that it now fits on the 1 line. And now you can see in pie chart fashion the different segments of our data. And as we know, marijuana was the most frequently used substance. We know that because of what we have in our frequency table. But here it is displayed visually. Now if you want, you can include things like a data label. So here it's just telling you this is 8. This represents 8. You could do lots of other things. Best fit, I don't know. So that generally gets the job done. So that's our pie chart. Okay, and we're back. So now we're going to be working on chapter 5, number 1, and under number 1 there's A, B, and C. So this chapter discussed graphs and charts. So we're going to create some graphs and charts using our data. So this is where we left off on this screen. We need to get back to our regular set of data. So once again, I can't click on my tab because this menu is here. So I'm just going to I'm going to go back and find sheet 1. That's what my data was called. One thing you can do if you want to keep things straight, you can call this, you can rename your tab here. So I could call this, I could right click on it, go to rename, and say this is raw data. And now when it created those pivot tables, it put these other sheets in front of my raw data. And that's okay. But what I want to do first is rename this age, and then rename this number of treatment sessions. I'm just going to put TX for treatment. And then I'm going to move this raw data tab all the way to the front. So I'm just going to select it and move it, drag it to the front. And you can see that little black arrow to tell me where it was going to put it. So now that we have the raw data, we are going to create some charts. The first chart, let's work on number 1, item A. So item A asks us for the variable main substance abused to create and interpret a bar graph and a pie chart. So for Excel, what you will want to do, now that we already have our tables created, that makes this a lot easier. So we just select the header for the values in our variable, and we select all the possible values, and then you want to also select the frequency. But you don't want to select these other two columns. You only want to select the name and the type and then the frequency. So now that you have that selected, go up to Insert and then go to the Charts section. As you can see, there's lots of options. You can do the recommended charts, but we're not going to do that yet because we already know what kind of chart we want to make. So we're going to click on this. They call it a column chart, but for us it's a bar chart. Bar graph, I should say. So you're just going to click that. And then it brings up these different options, and it already previews what the chart is going to look like. So here you can see the bars are next to each other. If we had a second variable displayed, then that would be what's in the gray color. You could do 3D if you want to get fancy. I don't think it's necessary, so I'm going to keep it to the 2D. And so I'm going to click that to select it, and now I have this table. Now it's covering my data here and my table, so I'm actually going to put the cursor over it until it makes the move icon, and I'm going to select it and drag it. I guess I'll drag it down below the distribution table. So we also need to change a few things about the table itself. Right now it thinks that the title of the entire chart is frequency, but that's not what we want the title to be. We want it to be the name of the variable. So we can say this is a frequency distribution of main substance abused. And as you can see, it automatically moved it down to a second line because the current font size got too large. You can make the chart a little bigger so that it all fits on one line. And so as you can see, it's already, oh, I'm almost out of time. Okay, I'll show you the next video.